This is your Daily 5 for Wednesday, August 12th, 2026. About 115 hours in, I have completed the main quest line for Stalker 2 Heart of Chornobyl, which I've done at least 2 fives on. I know I've talked about it during the show. And now that I have finished the main quest line, I haven't done any of the DLC yet, so I just played through the straight quest line and some optional things here and there. What strikes me about this game is how impressively, and I've said a version of this before, but I'm really, now that I've seen the ending that I chose, there are 4 endings, I picked one. I'm going to keep it vague, but the ending I went with is the one I felt most closely tied back to the first game and offered the most closure for the storyline. So those who have finished it, you probably know what I'm talking about when I say that, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody else who hasn't played it or finished it yet. But the thing about Stalker 2, and what's remarkable, and I can't think of another game that's done it this well, is how effectively it recaptured all the way through to the very end, including the ending, the spirit of the original game, which is about, I know it's more than a decade old, and probably the closest in terms of success in reigniting what people loved about an older game was, for me anyway, Deus Ex Human Revolution. But even that was a vastly different game. And there were a number of things that, when you go back to the original Deus Ex, are still superior in many ways. And it still didn't feel like the original Deus Ex, but it was a worthy follow-up. Whereas Stalker 2 feels like you could, if you told somebody, there was a game that was released called Black Mesa, which essentially was an update to Half-Life. And it changed some things, but it really improved the experience in many ways. It kind of streamlined some things, and it made for a very compelling modern interpretation of Half-Life. And Stalker 2, if somebody were to tell me that somebody took the original Stalker and just did a couple of tweaks to it and then released it, I would believe it. That's how close it is to that original experience. And it is hard to overstate how impressive it is, because Stalker is one of those games that I have extremely vivid memories of. It was so different, so interesting, so unique. It really got me to start looking into the other Stalker properties like Roadside Picnic and later the Stalker movie. But my first encounter with all this was the Stalker game. And there was just nothing else quite like it. There still really isn't anything quite like it, except for Stalker 2. And the fact that it is such a parallel experience, without just being a recycle. It definitely is not just redoing the first game, but it has managed to preserve all of that atmosphere, that environment, that kind of unique feeling that the first Stalker had. And that's a difficult, putting aside the development difficulties and how many times people had written off Stalker 2 as a dead game, the fact that it was released under literal wartime conditions that took the life of at least one person involved, because it was a Ukrainian-developed, or is a Ukrainian-developed game, but for it to actually get released and to be this good is miraculous. It really is just a real testament to the people involved, that not only did they get this game done and shipped and out the door complete with really minimal bugs. The only problem I ever had was directly related to my system, not the game. And so to get it released, and not only have a finished game go out the door with a more than one ending, which not even every AAA game can say today, but also to have recaptured that original feeling of that first game. I really can't imagine many people who would come to this game if they love the first game and would not be just wowed by the fact that it feels so close to it. I really cannot say enough good things about it. Now look, that doesn't mean it's for everybody, because it is still its own flavor of game, and it has a very specific way of dealing with the player. It can be, for some people, overwhelmingly harsh. And I'm not a fan of difficult games, although I will say it does have on-the-fly difficulty adjustments, so take advantage of that if you play it. You need to. The only nitpick I really would have with it is I don't like the boss battles, which feel very gimmicky, and those I could have done without, but there's so few of them, I really don't care. And again, if you adjust the difficulty, they become very easy. So, yeah, Stalker 2... I've said all along that I've been enjoying it, but now that I've actually finished it, I am thrilled that it stuck the landing, because, again, I cannot think of another sequel, especially this far after the original game, that recaptured something that was so magical and interesting and unique and did it so successfully. Later.